to clean myself off and to see if I would come through. And I guess I didn't, and they brought me down and put me in the back of a pickup truck. And then my mom came and got me, and she brought me to the emergency room. And I don't remember any of this, but I remember waking up.
So pick up the story, Gloria.
Well, I drove out to the coronation at the prom because some of my former students in school were being crowned, and I thought it would be nice for me to see them. And before that, Allison didn't even know she had permission to go to this party. She had asked, but I said, "You're only 14. Her dad really didn't want her to go. And when I was at the prom, I heard other kids her age talking about, we're going to go to this party. And I mean, they were good, normal kids, friends of hers. And I thought, oh, what's the harm? So the kids followed me home, and she got changed, and we talked a little bit at the table. I think we had some 7-Up or some Coca-Cola or something, and we walked down the hill, and these are neighbors that live less than 1,000 feet away from us, and we joked going down the hill, and it was about 1 o'clock, and I said, be back for 2, an hour's enough time. And 2 o'clock came around, and I sat on the couch thinking, oh, do I go down and embarrass her in front of her friends? What do I do here? 2:15, nothing. Well, finally, 2:30, my husband got up, and he said, I think you better walk down and get her. When I walked down, her date was standing at the head of the driveway with this pickup truck, and she was laying in the bed of the truck covered with a sleeping bag soaking wet. And my first reaction was a little, come on, Allison, what's going on here? And there was no response at all. He and I carried her up the hill, and the only way we could carry her was to actually put her arms around our shoulders and drag her. We ripped the skin off the front of her feet from dragging her up the hill. When we were about halfway up the hill, I realized this child is not coming to. So we called for my husband, and he came out and helped us carry her in, and we called Albany County Sheriff's Department and called the rescue squad. The time that it took for the rescue squad to get there, she started convulsing. When the rescue squad got there, they couldn't keep the oxygen on her because her body movements were just so bizarre and so rapid. And afterward, looking back, we had the video camera set up on a tripod in the living room where she was laying on the floor. I wish that I put it on record, because I think we could give a message to a lot of other people if they could have saw the condition that she was in.
Did they finally tell you how close she was to death?
I think they were afraid to tell us. When they brought her to the hospital, they said it was no sense pumping her stomach because the alcohol was already into her blood system. They put her on IVs, they had her on heart monitors and the oxygen, and they just kept a very close watch on her. And time-wise, it's hard for me to remember because it was a living nightmare.
But Shaney and Allison are here.
That's
and
right.
When we come back, we will meet two families whose daughters are not here, because when they went to sleep drunk, they never woke up after this. Michael and Pam Lutz say that they did what most parents would do when a teenager has had too much to drink. And I have heard this all my life. They put their 16-year-old daughter, Katie, to bed to sleep it off. Haven't we always told our kids, sleep it off if something like this happens? Weren't we always told as kids by our parents, sleep it off? Joyce Bruni found out that college friends of her 18-year-old daughter, Marie, did the very same thing. After a night of college binge drinking, Marie's friends put her to bed to sleep it off. But both girls never woke up. Pam, your daughter was celebrating, Katie was celebrating, what, 16th year?
16th, sweet 16th birthday.
Yeah, I know. And what happened?
Well, it started out, we had a surprise birthday party for her at the house. A couple of girls decided to take her to a battle of the bands to sneak her out of the house so we could decorate it.
Well, what happened was after the party was over, she asked to go to a friend's house, and a girlfriend of hers and a friend of hers took her to the party, okay? And, well, it wasn't a party, but it was a friend's house. And at that time, sometime during the night, the young man that was driving around gave her a fifth of vodka and said, you're a big girl now, Kate. You got to chug some of that. Well, she drank 6 ounces of vodka straight that night. And she was supposed to be home at 12 o'clock. She didn't show up at home. And I got worried. Pam got worried. And she finally came home at 3:30, okay? They knocked on the door, and we asked what happened, and the boy said that she just had a little bit to drink, and she just passed out. So I was a Vietnam vet, so we took her up, put her to bed, and I propped her up on her side so if she vomited, she wouldn't choke herself. And next morning...
Before we could ask the boy when he dropped her off, he was gone. He turned around and left before we could ask him a little bit more because it looked like they had drank more than just a little bit.
So when we put her to bed, she was still breathing.
No one was being honest here.
Pardon?
No one was being honest
No.
here.
No.
So we put her to bed and thinking she'd sleep it off. And the next morning, Pam got up and went by her room and said, Mike, you better check on Kate. She looks funny. So I went into the room and her feet were blue. And I went up to her face and her face was a dark blue where the blood had settled in her face. And I tried to give her mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, but it wouldn't come. I couldn't get nothing out of her. So we called 911. They came. A whole bunch of police agencies came in. Investigating officer from the state police walked into the house and walked up and looked at her body while I was standing there and said, looks like another drug overdose to me. And then she proceeded to go into checking our medicine cabinets for stuff. From that time on, the individual that actually gave her the vodka was charged with a misdemeanor. He spent 4 days in jail on a work release program and
1 year probation.
1 year probation, and was off jail.
$600 fine.
And how often do you blame yourselves for not knowing the truth?
We blamed ourselves a lot at first because at first we were the ones that was under fire. We were the ones that was almost prosecuted for negligence.
Almost prosecuted?
Almost
Yes.
prosecuted for negligence.
Yes.
Because they felt it was our fault that we didn't do something with her. And at that point, we said, how much is too much? What's the difference between comatose and
What's the difference in passed out?
passed out and comatose? We didn't know at that time. We didn't know you could die from alcohol poisoning.
Because a lot of us don't know. And we give the wrong advice sometimes. Because we were taught when we were younger that you sleep it off.
Right.
As long as you don't put yourself in harm's way, you sleep it off. You don't let you drive, you don't do this, you don't do that, you sleep it off. Wrong. Right. Joyce?
That's what I was going to say, the common knowledge of it. Parents do not know, students do not know, people don't know that alcohol is lethal.
And what happened in your case?
The same thing. My daughter was in college, and a group of college students decided to have a party in the dorm. They were taking shots, not measured shots. These were shots in wine glasses, so no one knows exactly how many ounces anyone was taking that night. Different people, there were 2 girls and 2 boys taking shots. Other people were coming into the room, taking shots also and leaving. My daughter was fine 1 minute, and the next minute she just kind of went out. One of the young men, which was a football player, picked her up, carried her to her dorm, put her to bed the proper way so if she threw up, she wouldn't choke on it. Did everything that he knew how to do. I feel like if these students would have known, had the knowledge that alcohol was lethal, they would have done something.
Your daughter never woke up?
No, she never woke up.
Do you blame yourselves at all?
We didn't have the knowledge to blame ourselves.
Yes. Yes and no. We did.
Yes and no.
It took us a while before we finally come to realize that there really wasn't anything we could have done.
We're going to find out what we should do in these circumstances in a moment. But I want to ask Shani and Lasha and Allison. Shani, this happened to you when you were 14 years old, you twins, right?
Yep.
And you're how old now?
We're 16 now.
And how many drinks have you had since then?
I have not touched alcohol since. No.
How about you, Allison?
Nothing.
This is 2 years later?
Excuse me. After you wake up in a hospital bed with an IV in your arm and oxygen in your nose, and the last thing you remember is drinking, it kind of turns you off. And when you realize that you almost lost your life, I mean, it shouldn't have to come down to someone maybe either losing their life or almost losing their life for people to actually realize this. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
It's a very scary feeling, too.
So what can be done besides telling your kids, boy, is that stupid? What can we do and what can they do when we come back?
President and First Lady is now bigger and better in the Woodlands. We've just finished building one of the most advanced health clubs you'll ever see. Over 30,000 square feet filled with state-of-the-art equipment. We're having a grand opening celebration, and we invite you to come in, take a free tour, and get our special grand opening offer of 60% off our Passport membership at Valley's President and First Lady in the Woodlands. Call 1-800-766-7185 and join the celebration now.
Almost every day, in school auditoriums across the country, Food Lion people present the pop music and message of Lawrence Stalnecker.
You are the future of our country, and without you, we have no future.
His words are simple.
For that reason, it's
Say
so
no to drugs.
that you don't get into substance abuse.
For young people, Lawrence Hang Tough Tour means learning how to say yes to life. And for Food Lion people, it means a chance to share.
Whatever reasons you had for not getting cable TV, starting now, you just ran out of them. Because cable TV now offers you 50% off installation, plus Showtime, HBO, the Movie Channel, and Cinemax. Now you can choose 2 premium channels for one low price. Showtime has spectacular blockbuster movies, Basic Instinct, Hook, exclusive engagements. HBO has huge box office hits, Lethal Weapon 3, Batman Returns, big names and special events. Watch the Movie Channel for non-stop entertainment action, Bugsy, and Cape Fear. Cinemax has sensational movies around the clock, Patriot Games, Stephen King's Sleepwalkers. Call now toll-free and get even more. Get cable TV with 24-hour news, sports, kids shows, music videos. You'll have all the reasons for having the time of your life. Call 1-800-285-0334 and get 50% off installation, plus 2 premium channels for one low price. Call 1-800-285-0334 now.
We have big pots, we have little pots.
There are a lot of pots here.
Now open on 59 between Willcrest and Airport behind Sam's.
Garden Ridge Pottery.
We're shop sale.
Right now, Famous Footwear saves you half price on every second pair of shoes you buy. Half price now.
Famous Footwear.
Give the gift of health to America's babies. Join the March of Dimes Walk America, Sunday, April 25th. Call 623-2020.
Doris Haken is founder and president of RID, Remove Intoxicated Drivers. Doris is also very active in educating the public about the dangers of teenage binge drinking. So what's the estimate about this?
Well, the essence is that there are 11 million junior high school and senior high school students in America, and half of those drink weekly and illegally, and 500,000 of those binge drink. That doesn't mean just getting drunk. That means you have 5 drinks at a sitting or more, or 15 drinks a week. That's binge drinking.
That's considered binge drinking. 5 drinks at a sitting?
Yes.
15 drinks a week?
Right.
Aha. Why do they say 5? Because that's when the alcohol content goes up in your body?
Yes, and it goes over the league of 0.10, of which a young person is severely impaired. So, and I want to say that I admired very much your setting out the number of drinks to show people what binge drinking is. But if you had had a beer can for every one of those shot glasses, the result would have been the same. There's just as much alcohol in a can of beer as there is in a shot and a half of whiskey or a glass of wine. People do not know that. So young people are now drinking wine coolers and beer. That is the cheapest beverage, the most highly advertised, without any warnings. And I want to say now,
so they're not dodging the problem by drinking wine coolers or beer?
No, because it's the same thing. It's alcohol.
Yeah. Yes, stand right up.
I think it's amazing that you can say that 5 beers is binging, because, I mean, that's like a normal thing. Especially
at one sitting?
Yeah, like way over that where we live.
But these are kids we're talking about.
Yeah,
We're talking about
kids.
13, 14,
Yeah.
15. These are underage kids.
Yeah, I mean, Shani and Lolly, they live where I live, and you know that, I mean, and in the summer, it's
So what
crazy.
you're
It's
saying-
every night.
So what you're
It's
saying
way
is
over that.
this
Way
happens.
over. It's regular. And how are you supposed to know, like, what night someone's going to die and what night you have to take someone to the hospital?
Kids don't take it
instead of
seriously.
putting them
They
to
don't.
the
You
bed.
have to be
I know.
informed
of what's going to happen.
Exactly.
It's
You have to
ridiculous.
know
Nobody knows.
the risk if you drink, what's going to happen. You have to be prepared and responsible enough to face the facts that if you drink, this is what's going to happen eventually.
I have a lot of people I know in the area I live that
drink way over what you just said.
Right.
And also with
Have they ever had to be taken to a hospital?
No.
They probably did, but
passed
no one
out
did anything
and
about
puked,
it.
but never hospital.
Let's talk about this passing out and puking and what we were taught, Doris. What should we do now to avoid, unfortunately, what happened to the Lutzes and to avoid what happened with Joyce's daughter?
I think we have to work together with the parents to tell them not to give keg parties to their teenagers, that beer is a drug, and that we will say we don't let friends get drunk. Not only friends don't let friends drive drunk, friends do not let friends get drunk. And that's what these young people and parents have to decide.
But Mike, I want to talk about, we're in this situation. Okay. Our kid is passed out. We don't know what to do. What should we do with this child?
Rush him to the hospital, okay? The blood alcohol level is going to
Anybody who passes, any kid who passes out.
Anybody who passes out, take him to the hospital because at .40, you're legally dead. In Kate's case, in the 3 cases I'm checking now, there were non-drinkers, okay? Their blood alcohol ranged from .37 to .38. Once that alcohol gets past that thing in a non-drinker, they are dead. They do not come back.
What happens if you're not passed out? What happens if you're just, you know,
Do you want to take that chance?
Yeah.
Is that the chance you want to take?
There is no...
And make sure you get the truth from your kids or those around your kids when you ask them the hard questions about how
If
much
I were a parent, if I were sending my kid to Yale or one of these, University of Illinois, I would ask the dean of the college, what is your alcohol policy? I'm not going to spend my life savings sending my child to have him come home in a body bag.
Do you really think that's going to help?
Yes, that's going to help because the dean...
They're drinking in high school and junior high school. They're exceeding your limits in junior high school.
When they get to college, when they're freshmen, they drink the most, and they binge drink twice as much as kids who are in high school, and we have twice as many deaths at freshmen in college.
That's why new laws are coming on the books right now. In the state of Michigan, it's going to be illegal for a person to provide alcohol to a minor with an offense of 5 years in prison if the minor is injured, and if the minor dies, it's 15 years in prison. That's what's coming up now because of our case.
Well, that's pretty tough. We'll be back in a moment, right after this.
Take home America's #1 selling video for under $20. Little Nemo, Adventures in Slumberland. A tale of monsters, magic, and royal fun for all. Sneak previews calls Little Nemo a family find. The Washington Post declares it impressively grand. Take home the magic of Little Nemo, Adventures in Slumberland for under $20 after mail-in rebate worth $5 with purchases of Tropicana Triplets Orange Juice. Little Nemo, Adventures in Slumberland, wherever videos are sold.
Final weekend at all Pennsylvania House Furniture showrooms. Everything store-wide is marked down a minimum of 30%. Plus, pay no interest and make no payments for 6 months. The final weekend to save a full 30% off on America's finest quality furniture. Living rooms, dining rooms, bedrooms, everything a full 30% off. Plus, pay no interest and make no payments for 6 full months. Hurry, this incredible offer ends Monday at all Pennsylvania House showrooms. Champions, Memorial, Humble, and Clear Lake.
Are you holding the drink?
To the parents of Kate, I want to know, do you blame the guy who gave your daughter the 5th of vodka? Do you blame him for the death?
I blame him, and I blame the person that sold it to him because it's illegal to have alcohol at 21 years of age. That's the legal limit.
How about that work?
I blame him for not saying that she had more than just a little bit to drink.
How has it affected the children in your school, like the kids in your school? Has it affected them any?
How about that?
Well, I try as much as I can to tell people about my experience, and I just hope that they realize that it is a serious
But you still see it going on, I bet last
But I do. I go to parties, and I see my friends, and I feel like sometimes that I have to be at these parties.
Do they say, oh, here come the spoil sports, here come the twins?
No, they have respect. They have respect, total respect.
See, it's different in my case because I don't have any respect from the people. I just transferred to a new school, and I have no respect from any of the people at my old school. They totally put me down because my mother...
you weren't one of the crowd?
Right, and because my mother came to get me at the party. I'm glad she came to get me because I probably wouldn't be here if she didn't. I think the
purpose of this show, though, is to inform teenagers of the risk of drinking and driving, and of being concerned about their friends and their peers to make sure that they're not drinking beyond an excessive amount.
Yeah. Did the two girls that died, did they say anything, or were they completely passed out, and what was their alcohol level?
In Kate's case, she was passed out. She moaned when we put her to bed. Her alcohol level was at 0.37 at the blood level that they died. They did a special test on her where they take a needle and go to the back of the eye where the alcohol burns off last. Her alcohol limit there was 0.42. He brought her home dead to us, and there was nothing we could do about it.
My daughter's blood level was 0.64.
Our government should put the information about alcohol on television and radio as a public service. I look to them to do that, and you have to demand it.
What I have to say is that I think that binge drinking is a phase that all teenagers go through, whether they're 14, 15, 16, or in college.
Yes.
And they have to realize that that is like killing themselves. In essence, that is killing themselves. They have to know how serious this really is.
And we're going to end up by saying if you would like more information on binge drinking and alcoholic poisoning, you can call this number, 1-518-393-HELP, H-E-L-P, 1-518-393-HELP. And our thanks to all of our guests for joining us today. I think this is a worthwhile subject, and I'm glad you're here. Thank you very much, and we'll be back right after this. Next.
He isn't true. He beats me too.
The disturbing truth about Abby Lane.
What can I do?
Ragu introduces Beef Tonight, and people can't wait to get home for dinner. Beef Tonight, 3 new simmer sauces that turn your ground beef into hearty meals, like barbecue beef and beef stroganoff.
I feel like beef tonight.
What's red hot, really powerful, and can perk up anything? Guess again. It's the Dirt Devil Upright Deluxe. Its revolving brush cleans the dirtiest floor, and you won't have to hunt for attachments. They're built in. So get the Dirt Devil Upright Deluxe and perk up your place.
You're about to see a whole new side of Effordent. Introducing 2-layered Effordent. The white side helps clean and deodorize with Arm & Hammer baking soda. The blue side also has more mint to provide more freshening power than ever before, making this the best Effordent ever. Introducing 2-layered Effordent. Clean, fresh dentures come out of the blue.
Fingerman here on Date That Food. Contestant number 1, if you don't date your food, what do you get?
Something pretty rotten?
Here's big news. Only Ziploc brand storage bags have a new right-on label. The date tells you your food's fresh. Plus, only Ziploc has the gripper zipper that locks freshness in. Ziploc storage bags, the new right-on label says your food's fresh. Busy Saturday night?
I'm doing my nails.
Ziploc has the lock on freshness.
Should a parent be held responsible if, let's say, your child doesn't go to school? Should
Kids have got to have boundaries, and it's got to be set by their parents.
These parents paid the consequences for their kids' actions.
Both moms have been fined hundreds of dollars, now get this, because their kids skipped school.
How do I have time to call school every day and see if Kelly's there when I'm busy doing my job?
Parents who pay for their kids' crimes. Next, Montel Williams.
Today at 3 on Houston's 2.
Nationally, PetSmart found over 20 million reasons not to sell dogs or cats. Here are just a few. Local animal shelters have thousands of lovable dogs and cats, and we think each one deserves a good home. That's why we'll pay up to 25% of your adoption fees during Love a Pet. It's just one more reason to adopt a pet. PetSmart. No one understands pets like we do. Save on science-dyed canine maintenance just $24.99. Science-dyed feline maintenance only $20.79.
Monday, abusive men.
She had the phone. She was threatening to call the police. She was using it as a weapon to keep me away. I grabbed her by the hair, drug her down the stairs.
And the women who loved them.
He would grab me by the back of the neck and shake me like I was a puppy.
How could you possibly love a guy like this?
They're white beaters.
Can they change? Monday. Abby Lane, I say this affectionately because, I mean, I'm in love with Abby Lane. I was in love with Abby Lane. She romanced the